Hey everybody, welcome. We're just starting to go live now. All right. So it seems that you're going to have to turn it right side up, unfortunately, bro. Yeah, there you go. That's all good. All right, we're ready. Let's do it.
My eyes so feel like I had my senses overwhelmed.
Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, fellow slaves of the plantation, to the Vinny Eastwood show. It is bad news. It's like the news, but worse. It's the lighter side of genocide. Just because we're being exterminated doesn't mean we can't enjoy it. Otherwise, what's the point of being killed? The Vinny Eastwood show. We're the only thing worse than living in a high-tech global police state run by child-trafficking Satanists. Is Vinny's jokes. And my very special guest is Lee Williams. Coming at us live from Christchurch. Say hello, Lee.
Hi, Vinny, and hello to your viewers, and thanks for having me.
All right. Well, for those who don't know, could you just tell us a little bit about who it is you are and what it is you do?
Well, Vinny, I'm a YouTuber, and a very controversial YouTuber, some might say. I say I'm not. And last, say, 4, maybe 5 years, I've stirred up a little bit of trouble in New Zealand, upset the right people, I believe, and stirred a hornet's nest and brought a lot of trouble down on myself. And they've come after my job, and they've come after my livelihood. They've debanked me. They've done a lot to me, and the media call me, as per usual, the face of the far right in New Zealand and what have you. And this is what they do, though. And anyway, this past year and a half, they got me fired from my job. I went back to the UK for 8 months, and came back maybe about 8 months ago. And life's not great at the minute. It's okay, but it's not great. It could be a lot better. It could be a lot worse. But yeah, telling the truth in New Zealand and standing up for yourself is it's not the smartest move in the book.
No,
but, I believe like yourself,
somebody has to do it. I mean, it's like plumbing, for example. Before plumbing, there were things like giardia and polio and, tuberculosis. Goodness knows. It was a shit job, but somebody had to do it, right? And at the end of the day, that's kind of what we're doing. Somebody has to get their hands dirty so that other people don't have to deal with the diseases.
Exactly. Well, the thing is, we get persecuted for our efforts, and I think history will tell at some stage whether we were right or not. And I think the numbers of supporters for yourself and many others like us across the world, not only here in New Zealand but across the world, support is growing. And we know what's happening in the world. And I think these multi-billionaire psychopaths who are inflicting what's happening on the world, I've got to watch what I say because I don't want to get you banned off wherever you put this video. But these multi-billionaire psychopaths, these so-called luminaries of the world who are doing what they're doing, I think they're on the back foot because, many people who have had the old having second thoughts now. They're not going to take any more. And I think they're going to ramp things up and continue to take away our freedoms and persecute us even more. And I don't know whether you and I and many others will end up in jail or end up with huge fines. But, for me, and I'm sure for you, we'll keep on doing what we're doing. And that's my mission, is just to keep on doing what I'm doing and upsetting the right people or the wrong people, whichever way you look at it.
Well, we keep getting different results. Do we keep getting the same results or do we keep getting different results? Like, for example, each and every person who gets persecuted in this country proves something. So, for example, you proved that if you question the kind of multiplication of everything, you get your bank account shut down, you get your job taken off you, and you get deported. Just like that, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And what I think Billy proved in the election is that if you stand up on the platform of truth and exposing the scumbaggery and the communism that's taken over this country, they will pull your entire account and everybody who has access to it off of social media so that they can't speak for themselves or attack back when they produce $100,000 hit pieces on them in order to cripple the party before the election results come in 3 weeks until election day. So that proves that you can't have a political solution to this. It proves that you can't have a vocal solution to this. And then myself and Billy proved that you can't have a protesting solution to this either. And of course the Wellington protests even prove that point further. So we can't speak out, we can't campaign, and we can't protest. What options are we being left with?
Well, I think if you went back, it depended on what country you're in, but if you were in a third world country, there would only be one option. I've got to emphasize this because I don't want to get in trouble, but if you were in a third world country, the only option you would have would be violent revolution. I'm not advocating for that at all in New Zealand, but like you've just said, I don't think political parties now can solve the problems. And you get up and coming political parties with leaders with big egos, and they won't even join together. They won't even come together and talk and amalgamate together to make themselves stronger. It's really, really problematic. But I think, I think if you were in a lesser country, when I say lesser country, a third world country, it would be violent revolution. And I think that's the only way that it can be solved. But what comes after a violent revolution? Who's going to take power? Military generals or whatever? Who knows? It might be even worse. It might be better, but I don't know. If I can just go back to a statement you made earlier, I wasn't deported from New Zealand. I left of my own accord, and I came back of my own accord. I wasn't deported, but but they even Maori extremists in government. Matthew Tukaki, Debbie Packer, Nariwa Packer, and many others, even Auckland University so-called academics, they even tried to get my citizenship banned in New Zealand. They tried to take away my citizenship, saying I wasn't fit to be in New Zealand just because I questioned what they were doing to this country. But this is what they do, and they have the media sewn up. The media will attack anybody who not so much attacks Maori, but questions Maori. And when I say Maori, I don't mean Maori per se. I mean Maori extremists and Maori elites who are ripping this country off for billions, and they have been for decades.
Yeah, what Ruben Taipari, I had him on the show once, and it interviewed tribal leaders from all around the world, from Canada and the United States and Australia, and they all had different words for these people. In Aboriginal culture, they're called coconuts because they're brown on the outside but they're white on the inside. And in New Zealand, they're called the kupapa. All right?
Yeah.
The kaupapa is kind of like the work, the purpose, right? And the kupapa is like a coup against that purpose of their own people. Yeah.
I think the elites of Maoridom in this country, the Marxist elites who actually believe and they are driving apartheid in this country, they're just self-serving psychopaths. And, and I'll say, this is not very popular. And every single one of them have got less Maori in them than what they've got European. And yet they play the Maori card and they get the tattoos. And I'm not going to use the Maori words. I'll say tattoos all over the faces, like Raweri Waititi. just to reiterate their Maoriness. And when you see that, and you question it, what Rowberry Waititi, I call him Rowberry half wheaty Waititi, and he calls everybody racist. Everything is racist, and same with Debbie Packer, same with Willie Jackson, Matthew Tukaki, Joe Trinder, the whole lot. All these radical extremists right at the very top always pull the race card because they have no answer to real debate, and that's why they would never entertain probably me ever being in front of television cameras, interview me live, or they'd interview me, but they'd want to interview it first, edit it, make me sound like a complete fundamentalist, far-right white supremacist, and then load it. But they wouldn't do anything live. And it's a real problem in New Zealand because they are stripping our freedom of speech. Maoridom is unique to New Zealand, and but it's a huge problem. We haven't got only the problems of the rest of the world, like in the UK, Canada, Australia, but we've got the added problem in New Zealand of this Maori elitism and this separatism, where I don't believe they're Indigenous at all. They're not Indigenous. If you came here by boat, then you're not Indigenous. And yet they call themselves Indigenous, and white sycophantic politicians and academics. I call them cowards and bus tickets. They will agree with Maori because they don't want to be called racist. They don't want to be called extremists and all that. And they will run with it because it's easier to attack people like me and people that say what I say, the more it is to question Maori. Because if you question Maori elites like Debbie Packer, Rowberry Half-Wheaty Waititi and Matthew Tukaki, if you question them, Willie Jackson, they will come after your job. And like they did with me, they'll come after your job. They will threaten the company I used to work for, Sinley. They actually threatened Sinley. If you don't sack him, i.e. me, we will destroy your company. We will destroy your reputation. That's what they did. I mean, malfeasance, I think the word is called, where MPs in Parliament, sitting MPs, use their authority to basically destroy lives and intimidate people into silence. And that's exactly what they did. But anything in the media were actually supportive of them. The banks, Westpac, they debanked me. And and I was just the easy option, a very easy option. I was a nothing. I was an ant taking on an elephant. It's just... But, I carry on doing what I'm doing because I believe in the truth. It's cost me a lot. I'm not really sure whether it's cost me my health. I still feel fit. I still do training every day. But I don't know. On the inside, mental health, maybe. There's a lot of people call me mental, including my new partner. But anyway, it's all designed to wear people down and to send out the chilling effect that if you question us, you question the narrative of iwi or us radical Maoris, we want everything. We want everything that's New Zealand given. I'm not saying back to Maori because it was never theirs in the first place. Given to Maori on a plate that basically the Europeans have built and made rich and wealthy. They want it. They want it.
They do indeed,
and they're going to get it.
And we'll be right back after the break. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Vinny Eastwood Show. Lee Williams, Across the Rubicon, is my very special guest. We'll be right back after these messages.
A prime suspect in a bootleg investigation. A prime suspect for a swathe of grievous crimes. A prime piece of meat from my head to my feet.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from Simply Clean Foods, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters.
Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on long-term food storage in the rotating sponsors banners to support RBN.
Simply Clean Foods. Do it today.
Welcome back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Vinny Eastwood Show. My very special guest, Lee Williams. Say hello, Lee.
Hey, Vinny, how's it going? And hello to your viewers.
I want to know as well, why is it that New Zealanders do this kind of thing where, and I think this is not unique to New Zealanders as well, if people tell you things you don't want to hear, instead of changing how you believe because the evidence has shown you that what you believe is wrong, you instead try to shut up the person who's telling you you're wrong. You know, I've got a lot invested in this. Shut him up. Just shush.
Yeah.
And I know
I think
that there's so many people around the world, and listeners included, who experience this phenomenon to smaller or larger degrees almost on a daily basis. Doesn't matter whether you're in person or you're interacting on social media, or even really kind of like an influencer or something like this. This constant state of persecution sort of seems to exist and persist.
You ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the problem is, Vinny, is that people are saturated with 24/7 media that tells them the government narrative, the World Health Organization, United Nations, WEF narrative, and these people, these are huge organizations. The government itself is a huge organization. The media is a huge organization, and people like us, we can say what we want. And like I said before, it's easier to shut us down than what it is to shut the media and the government down. And we're just the easy option. We're just easy. We're the road of least resistance for them. And people don't want to see it. They just want an easy life. It's just easier to attack the little man than what it is to criticize these huge behemoth organizations. And it's a huge problem, and I think, like you said, it's certainly not unique to New Zealand. It's everywhere, absolutely everywhere, and there's very few people like us. You know, I can, you know, all the names in New Zealand, and even ones in the UK, most of them, and it's left to people like us to tell the truth. I mean, the media, the once mainstream media, now the legacy media, are now just, they're not telling you news, they tell you propaganda. And this propaganda is being driven and paid for by the said multi-billionaire psychopaths in the WEF and United Nations and World Health Organization. There's a lot of money invested. And these people, if I can name names, Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab, what's his name, Larry Fink, is it Larry Fink? I think it is, BlackRock, Mark Zuckerberg, Dr. Fauci, and many other invisible people that are probably behind and controlling the people I've just mentioned. They have billions invested into certain things, and I think it's a lot to do with this kind of thing. I'm just going to move that. Yeah. You know, invested into that, and they are deciding behind closed doors somewhere in the world when the next, I've got to watch my words here, when the next outbreak is going to be, and they're going to direct governments exactly what to do. World Health Organization is funded 40% or 50% by Bill Gates. And now World Health Organization are controlling governments on whether to lock us down. And then people like Bill Gates, they're controlling what goes into us. And, I think he could become the very first individual trillionaire on the planet. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm guessing it's nearly all driven by money. Money's the root of all evil, as they say. But I think there's some kind of psychopathy with these people as well. It's almost like satanic. And it's a very, very exclusive club that you and I in a million years will never, ever, ever be able to enter, if indeed you'd want to enter, because I certainly wouldn't. You can have all the riches you want in the world, but to do what we only assume they might do behind closed doors. You've spoke about earlier in your introduction, with children and things like that. I don't know. I'm not going to go too far down that rabbit hole. But there's something seriously, seriously wrong in the world. You take a look at this, Andrew Bridgen. I don't know if you heard that story. Andrew Bridgen is in the UK. He's an MP. He was a Conservative MP for North Leicestershire in the UK. Leicestershire is in the East Midlands. It's about, 40 miles east of Birmingham. And he stood up in Parliament a month or so ago and spoke about this kind of stuff and the amount of people that are being harmed by it. And then he stood up just a few days ago again and said, I'm not sure whether it was in Parliament or whether it was an interview, but he said this is the greatest crime against humanity since the Holocaust. And, I'm a little bit older than you. And, I used to watch documentaries when I was a kid back home with my dad and the family. And, the programs were called Holocaust, but now apparently you can't even say the word Holocaust without being accused of being an anti-Semite. And now the Conservative Party and MPs on all sides have decided to call him an anti-Semite. And now his career has been destroyed in the Conservative Party because he compared it to what's happening in the world today with, he said it's the worst since the Holocaust. And I think it's true what he said. And many, many people do believe it's true. And yet all these so-called MPs, elected MPs are coming out, and the media are destroying his life now for what he said. And me, for one, I think good on him. He should be the Prime Minister of the UK, because that man there is an individual who stands alone, risks everything, and says it. And that's a great thing. That's a bonus. And all these Weasley people, and I've got them in New Zealand. These Weasley people like
hold on. All right, well, we're heading to break now. We'll hold that thought, Lee. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, after these messages. You listen to the Vinny Eastwood Show. Check out the archives on vinnyeastwood.com, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
Oh, freedom won't make it. No.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we have been building our online store. Well, we have been focusing on bringing you the best talk show host in the country. Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we also want our listeners to have products they can use every day and in times of emergency. We have added new products each week to our store. Your support of this network, plus products at the best prices, is a win-win situation. Check out our new store. Go to our website, republicbroadcasting.org, and click on the online store located at the top of our website. Together, we can continue to grow RBN and help our listeners prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us
800-724-2719, extension 3. 800-724-2719, extension 3.
Extendivite really works. Here's just a few testimonials from Amazon. RL, 5 stars. Been taking this for 2 months now. I feel better, have more energy. April, my husband started taking Extendivite, and he said he feels much better and has more energy. EW, need to try. Everyone needs this for their health. Great product, great people. Josie, it works great. This product has made my blood pressure and cholesterol stable. I highly recommend it. JC, great product, has worked well these last few years. To get your Extendivite today, go to extendivite.com. That's XTENDOVITE.com, or call us at 1-877-928-8822.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
In times like these, you can't depend on the government to keep you warm and fed, but you can depend on the Vermont Bun Baker to do just that. With the Vermont Bun Baker, you'll never be in a situation where you can't cook, bake, fry, boil water, or heat your home, all at the same time. One of the most revolutionary cook stoves, wood stoves ever, the Vermont Bun Baker is available with or without soapstone veneer, a natural stone that retains heat and radiates it back into the room once the fire is out. A beautiful addition to your home, the Vermont Bun Baker has an efficiency rating well above 75% and qualifies for the wood stove tax credit. For more information, watch the Vermont Bun Baker on YouTube and live stream, or visit us at www.vermontwoodstove.com. You can also reach us by calling 1-866-SOAPSTONE. Don't ever be hungry or cold because the power's gone out. With a Vermont Bun Baker, all you have to worry about is what's for dinner.
Welcome back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Vinny Eastwood Show, broadcasting on Republic Broadcasting. I'm not sure how that sounded. Anyway, my very first guest is Lee Williams. Welcome back, Lee.
Hey, Vinny.
So, where were we? What were you saying before we got up to break there?
I forget now. We can start on something else, though. I think I covered it, wherever it was. Oh, yes. Sorry, I've just been reminded. Andrew Bridgen. He's a North Leicestershire MP whose life is being ruined as we speak in the UK. And he's a Conservative MP because he said what's happening in the world now is the worst. The deaths caused by is the worst crime against humanity since the Holocaust, is what he said. And he was only paraphrasing what a Jewish doctor said from Jerusalem. He was only paraphrasing what he said. That's all he did. He just paraphrased somebody else. And now his life is being destroyed. Now they're calling him an anti-Semite and destroying his life because he's telling the truth about it. That's what's happening. You know, and it's the same everywhere. They're sending out the chilling effect that if you say anything against the narrative, then we will destroy your life. And nobody, even an MP in the UK, I would say, an infamous, he's infamous, I suppose, but I'd say he's famous, MP in the UK, they can even destroy his life. So they can destroy anybody. They have that power. Yeah. So, the question is, what's the appropriate response to this? Like, for example, the response that they want you to give is to become afraid and to not do anything about it. And what if you got angry, though, and did do something about it, right? I mean, even in China, there were huge protests. Chinese people protesting
All right? They could have all been killed, but they came out and protested against all the lockdown measures and things like that, and then the government eased it up. You know, these people aren't infallible. The problem is that they need a show of force. All right? They need to actually feel afraid. All right? This is the only part of the brain of the psychopath that really works is the reptilian cortex. Okay? It governs your fight, flight, fear, freeze, submit. It governs all of those kind of things. Attach. Governs all those little responses that you make. So if you are going up against a psychopath, they need to feel something along those lines in order to respond to you. All right? If you are camped out on their lawn, is that frightening to them? Does that put them in a fight or flight response? No, it doesn't. It didn't work with Occupy Auckland in 2012 or 2011 or whenever it was. It didn't work with the Occupy in the Parliament grounds, because occupations always fail. So here's the thing. We're at the raggedy edge here, and now the audiences are dwindling, dropping like flies, and not because people don't want this kind of information, it's because they do. And the channels for which can actually publish this kind of thing, even if they don't get outright banned, they still get shadow banned. So they appear down the lowest search possible options. You ever go into the, hey, do you want to watch this video next? All right, that kind of stuff, the suggestions that come up, we don't come up. So you have to share them specifically in order for us to get anywhere. And thank goodness so many of you do, because it's now becoming sort of a group effort to do broadcasting, isn't it? Gone are the days where one person with a YouTube channel could just tell the truth.
It has, though. I think there's still room for us, but it's true. I mean, my channel is across Rubicon is 16.2, I think. But it's been 16.2 for about 3 years, and they just make it very, very difficult for anybody to find my channel. And people tell me all the time in my comments that their comments get removed by YouTube, and or by somebody, and they're being removed by somebody. But going back to what you're saying about the protests and the Occupy movement, I was in the UK when Wellington was going on last year, and what was happening in Canada as well, in Ottawa, I think it was. I think the problem is, I think there's always division within the speakers movement of any kind of Occupy or protest movement. There's always division, and there's always egos. Whether the government, I don't know, whether they put infiltrators in, or whether they make deals with certain individuals within a movement or within an organised protest to break away or to cause division. I don't know, but it's just human nature, it seems, that we just can't get it together. And if we can't get it together, it just fails every time. Going back to China, what you said about China, the people rose up against the government. China's got, I don't know, it's 1.3, 1.4 billion people, and but even then, the Chinese might acquiesce to a little bit to the protests, but they will certainly look out for those individuals that started everything, because it always starts with individuals who have sub-rows of meetings and decide what they're going to do and how they're going to do it, and the government of the day, the authorities, the totalitarian governments in China's case, will find out these individuals and make them disappear. I think that's what the government do, and that's what they do to people in New Zealand, not to Chinese standards, but look at yourself. Look at you and Billy, and Hannah and Kelvin as well. They're looking at charges. You're big names in New Zealand, and they've got to shut you down. And it's a similar kind of thing. They're not going to send the police round and give you a damn good beating or shoot you. You never know. It might be the future. But they infiltrate and they identify the ringleaders, the mouthpieces. Even myself and Damien Dement, Terry O'Pine's more of an individual, just sits in his room and says it, but at least he says it. That's the main thing. They will be identified at some stage, and they will be damaged, maybe even put in jail. I don't know, but they're going to try and damage us and send out the chilling effect, like they did with me in my job. And basically, if you do what he did, we will come after you and we will destroy your whole life. And they've got everything in place. Everything is sewn up. Where even the judicial system is sewn up. The judicial system is going to be sewn up against you and Billy. It's going to be sewn up against Kelvin and Hannah.
Well, they found us guilty.
Everyone. Yeah. And they will do, unless I don't know. But that's the lack of objectivity by the media. Because if you had a real free media in New Zealand, I'm sure they would be sympathetic to you and Billy and Kelvin and Hannah and many others, even myself and other individuals. But we haven't got free media. The media will print and damage and destroy whoever, Jacinda and the Maori party and Maori extremists right at the very top of the Maori pyramid tell them to destroy. But I'm talking about New Zealand. But it's exactly the same methods used right across the Western world, especially the Western world at the minute.
Yeah, I mean it's 2023 now. It was August 18th, 2021 that Billy and I were arrested, and our case still isn't over.
Yeah,
it's insane.
They want to cause you stress. They want to damage your life. They want to destroy your relationships. They want to put your faces in the papers. They want to talk about you on the radio, on their friendly radios, like the Platform, and is it the Platform, whatever they call it, Michael Laws and that other fellow, whatever you call him, Plunkett. And they want to mention your names, and they want to destroy. They want to character assassinate people like yourself. And others and myself, and that's what they do. And people who are not so savvy or not so up to date with what's happening, and they avidly watch the 6 o'clock news and TVNZ and Radio New Zealand, and watch bloody Paddy Golden Shower and listen to his shite, and Michael Laws, listen to rubbish. These people are completely unaware of what's going on. I met a fellow the other day. And honestly, this was a first. And he said, I won't say where I met him, who he was, or how old he was or anything, but he said to me, people slag Jacinda off. He said, I think she's an amazing Prime Minister. And I said, oh yeah, how was that then, mate? He said, well, look how many lives she saved in New Zealand by preventing the you-know-what, getting into New Zealand. And she's doing great things for New Zealand and people. And I'm thinking, wow, man, you really are. And he was, I'm guessing, about 65. And I would class him as probably one of the most stupidest people I've ever come across. And that was very, very unusual for me. Okay, the circles I move in, but it's very unusual for me to hear someone say such a thing. It baffles me, but he's the type of fella that will, when masks are relaxed, the mask things all relaxed, he'd still go into New World or wherever and wear his mask, because he's saving the world. These are the type of people.
Well, he's saving the new world. He's saving the new world anyway.
Yeah. But honestly, these people are mad. They're because they listen to all the shit, and they refuse to believe that the media and the government are lying to them. They refuse to believe it, and they call us the usual names of conspiracy theorists and whatever. And because that's what they hear. That's what they hear. Paddy Golden Shower and Hillary Barry and all them. I don't even watch. Honestly, I don't even watch telly in New Zealand now. I'm only coming out with names, old names. They might not even be on telly anymore. But what's that program? It's on TVN, not TVN, Channel 3. Paddy Golden Shower's on it. 7 o'clock at night.
Honestly, I have no idea. 7 Sharp? I don't know.
No, not 7 Sharp. It's on the other side. On the other side, there's about 4 of them, and they're all such woke leftists. They're sickening to watch, absolutely sickening. But sometimes you have to watch it just for the laughs, I suppose. But they would hate our guts. They would ridicule people like us. You know, all I can say to them is, please, 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 keep taking them. That's all I can say to them.
A booster a day helps to get the frickin' scum media away.
Exactly.
Apparently, you're not supposed to have one after another 6 months, right? You're not supposed to have one after the other right away, or that kind of thing. So, if you're mainstream media, different rules for you. You get to have one the day after, okay? Every day if you can. Just keep taking it. I can guarantee you it's safe and effective. All right, and I know because you told me so. So just get it on, baby. No,
have you watched much of this? Sorry.
No, you go for your life.
No, I was just that story about Prince Harry, just changing the subject completely there. Prince Harry, like last week, I didn't really follow it much, but I don't really watch him and Meghan Markle. I'm not a royalist by any stretch of the imagination, but when he said about killing those 25 Taliban soldiers, I mean, is that the most reckless thing anyone in the public eye could ever say? You know, and when I was a kid, I was going to make a video about this the other day. When I was a young kid, back in the UK, I remember walking down the street with my dad, you know, and I knew these old fellas. This is when I was very young. And these old fellas be walking down the street and they'd have twitches, and it was like what we call Tourette's today. And I said, what's wrong with that Billy Jones, Dad? And my dad said, he's got shell shock, son. He's got shell shock. What's that, Dad? He saw he was too close to those bombs when they went off. This was in the First World War. And I started, bloody hell. And these fellas never, ever, ever spoke about the war because they would damage people. And they never had no sight, you know, they never had no help when they came back from the war, things they seen. And then you had the Second World War veterans, similar kind of thing. And my dad used to say, Billy Griffiths down the road or whatever. He was in such and such, and he's never ever discussed the war, never ever discussed what he did, and he might have been in the parachute regiment or the Royal Marines or things like that, the elite regiments at a time, and you know, and they did things that, you know, unspeakable things and seen unspeakable things, and yet they never bragged about it, never spoke about it, and I don't know, they never even told their wives about it or sons. And yet you get pricks like Prince Harry sitting on an Apache helicopter, I'm guessing, firing a 30mm Gatling gun 10 miles away into a group of Talibanis. It's war and that's it. But to go bragging about it, what an absolute cock. What a cock. I thought I'd slip that one in. But you know, I thought it needed to be said. I think he's an absolute cock. And now, if he wasn't marked before, now he's really going to need security for the rest of his life. Most reckless, most stupid thing ever. That ever for a royal and someone in the public eye ever to say. But anyway, I thought I'd get that one in.
Yeah.
What do you think of them?
Oh, well, I think that being friends with Jimmy Savile on behalf of his grandfather or whatever might be a little bit worse thing for a royal to do than brag about killing, 25 goat herders with a Gatling gun, But, it's it's six in one hand, half dozen in the other. If you have a look at the history of the world and the history of the royals, you know, they're not even English. They're Saxe-Coburg-Gotha kind of thing from Germany, and they're hooked into pedophile trafficking and all this kind of stuff down there. It's really, really icky stuff. You know, I remember I woke my brother up to this, you know, and I found this. He was laughing his ass off. He thought it was really funny, and it is in a way. If you have a very sick sense of humor, and luckily we did, of a Filipino child. With, oh my god! Just with bed sheets and curtains tied together like a rope, hanging out of Buckingham Palace window, buck naked, climbing out of the window. And losing his grip and falling.
Did he bounce?
No, you couldn't see that in the video. It was all concealed by the gate, but but still, you know, if you ever want to illustrate the comedic side of child trafficking, ladies and gentlemen, on the Vinny Eastwood show. You never know what you were going to get.
Hey, did you see that video? Did you see that video the other day? I put it on my Telegram channel of Tom Hanks. And Tom Hanks was at a show somewhere in the United States where they have these little girls, and they dress really precociously as young women. Even like if I'm allowed to use the word, they dress like prostitutes, like old tarts. And this young girl was like, she was under 10, I would say 8 or 9. And all you see in the video, and apparently it's an old video, but I only seen it for the first time the other day. And she's singing this song, and she says her last words were, "Talk dirty to me, talk dirty to me." Okay, I'm not the greatest child singer, but everyone claps in the audience, and she's dressed like this, you know, she's dressed really provocatively, sexually provocatively, and everyone claps, and Tom Hanks is there in the audience. She gets down, and she runs to, apparently, from what I've been told, Tom Hanks is her dad, and as he bends down to, you know, grab hold of her, he's saying, "You're so sexy, you're so sexy." And I'm thinking, what on earth is going on in Hollywood? Why would you put your daughter on the stage to sing those words, and then you say, "You're so sexy"? I mean, I've got 3 daughters. They're all grown up now, and they're all adults. They've got their own kids. But I would never, ever have dreamed saying to my daughters at 8 or 9 years old, saying, "You're so sexy," you know, and to get them to sing a song with "Talk Dirty to Me," those lyrics in it, there's something to say. And I'm just going back to your child trafficking and whatever, but I think it's big in Hollywood, and it's big in that world. It's big in that world of elites. It's probably big in the world of the WEF and the World Health Organization and the United Nations. It's probably huge.
Imagine much for a moment that you had to do a whole lot of illegal things, and you wanted a whole bunch of people to do these illegal things, and you didn't want them to let anybody know the plan. What would you need to have on them, and therefore what kind of people would you recruit?
Exactly, yeah. That's what you do. You'd have to get something really big on someone to get them to keep their mouths shut, and then they're in the club. I watched or listened to, should I say, James Delingpole. James Delingpole is an English academic. He does exactly what you're doing now.
Yeah, I've interviewed him.
He's very, very good. And he interviewed this bloke, and he was a Geordie. When I say Geordie, he's from the northeast of England, Newcastle, Sunderland way. And he was an upcoming comedian and a writer. He wasn't getting anywhere, and he's been interviewed by James Delingpole. I forget what his name was though, but anyway, he said he was invited to Amsterdam, so he flies over to Amsterdam, which is only like an hour flight, not even an hour flight from the UK, and to meet this bloke. And he goes to meet this bloke, and he lived in this very big plush apartment, a multi-million-dollar apartment somewhere in Amsterdam. And so he goes in and he meets this fella who was part of, he believes, the Illuminati, Bilderberg Group, WEF, whatever. This fella was a big player. And this fella told him, he says, we can make you whatever you want. We can give you riches beyond your wildest dreams. He said, however, you've got to keep secrets. And he said, what kind of secrets? And he pointed at this door, this oak door in his apartment. And he said, you go through those doors, there's going to be people waiting for you. And if you go through and promise never, ever to speak of what you do or see, and we will give you riches beyond your wildest dreams, basically. And I'm paraphrasing all this, obviously. And he said, I'll tell you what, mate. He says, I'll get my coat. And he gets his coat and walks out. And but it just makes you wonder. He didn't say who it was he met, and didn't say what organisation. I don't think he knew what organisation they were from or what connections they had, but they were big connections. But what was beyond those oak doors? I wonder what it was. I wonder what. But James Dellenpole asked him. He said, "What do you think was beyond the oak doors?" And he said, "I guarantee it was something to do with children." And he was going to be made to do whatever they wanted him to do. So then they've got him. And he's, he would have had all the riches. He would have had all the fame and fortune. But he didn't go through. He got his coat and walked out. But then you got these same people. You got Tom Hanks. You've got King Charles now. Leonardo DiCaprio, Bono from U2. And all these other Hollywood stars and stars of the pop industry who've become very, very wealthy and very, very successful. I think Bono was the world's first billionaire pop star. And it just makes you wonder, did they get their coat and walk out when they were asked to go through the oak doors? I doubt it. And now they're part of that fraternity.
Yeah. The first billionaire pop star. U2's good, but they're not billionaire good, ladies and gentlemen. That's the show for the day. Lee Williams, across the Rubicon channel on YouTube. Thank you so much for being with us, bro. And we will see you again next time, ladies and gentlemen, on the Vinny Eastwood Show.com.